The sun was sinking low over the endless plains, painting the horizon in strokes of crimson and gold, when Caleb Dusty McGraw, a weathered cowboy with a heart hardened by years of solitude and a past riddled with scars he seldom spoke about, spotted something unusual near the edge of his barn, something that made him slow his stride and clutch the brim of his hat against the whipping prairie wind, because lying there in the dirt, frail and trembling, was a child, no older than 7 or 8, his skin darkened by hunger and exposure, his eyes wide with a hollow kind of desperation that no child's eyes should ever hold. And for a moment, Dusty froze, torn between the instinct to protect his land and the flicker of compassion that still lingered deep within his chest, despite the years of hardship. But then the boy tried to lift his hand, as if reaching for something, maybe food, maybe water, maybe hope. And that tiny motion shattered the last wall of hesitation inside Dusty. So he knelt down, scooped the boy up carefully, and carried him into the barn, where the smell of hay and the warmth of lantern light replaced the cold bite of the prairie night. And there Dusty gave the boy water, tore off a piece of cornbread left over from his own meager supper, and watched as the child devoured it with the kind of hunger that came from days, maybe weeks, without a full meal. And as the boy ate, Dusty studied him closer, noticing the beads of sweat on his brow, the bruises on his arms, the way his ribs pressed sharp against his skin, and something inside Dusty, something he thought he had buried, along with the dreams of youth and the family he lost long ago, stirred to life again. Compassion, the kind that could risk everything in a land where helping the wrong stranger could mean a bullet in the back. Yet Dusty could not turn away. Not tonight. Not with the prairie wind howling like ghosts outside. So he wrapped the boy in an old wool blanket, placed a canteen of water by his side, and sat by the fire through the night, dozing lightly but waking at every sound, every distant coyote call, every creak of the barn wood, because he knew this act of kindness was not without danger. And sure enough, when dawn broke, painting the fields in pale light, Dusty stepped outside to find a sight that stole his breath and made the ground feel unsteady beneath his boots. Lined across the horizon, stretching shoulder to shoulder in silent formation, were 200 native warriors on horseback, their faces painted, their bows and rifles gleaming in the early sun, their expressions unreadable as stone. And Dusty's heart thundered in his chest, because he knew in an instant who the boy was, not just a starving child, but kin to a people who had every reason to mistrust, to avenge, to test the limits of his courage. And as he stood there, alone, before the sheer force of their presence, Dusty's hand twitched toward his holster out of instinct, but he forced it still, knowing a weapon now would mean his end. So instead, he lifted his chin, squared his shoulders, and walked slowly into the open, each step echoing with the weight of choices made and choices yet to come. And though fear gnawed at his gut, something steadier grew within him too. The same thing that made him help that child in the first place, the belief that humanity could still be seen, even across divides as wide as the prairie sky. And as the warrior's leader rode forward, his headdress catching the light like fire, Dusty prepared for whatever fate awaited him, whether death or understanding, praying silently that kindness for once would not be mistaken for weakness. And friends, if this story gripped you, if you believe that even in the hardest of times compassion has the power to change destinies, then stay with us, because there's more to come. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss stories like this. Tales of courage, heart, and humanity that remind us all of the power of a single choice.